Humanity had always dreamed of first contact. The day it finally happened, the world stood still. A signal, unlike anything before, complex, deliberate, undeniably intelligent. It came from a system just outside our reach, a place where no human had ever set foot. Governments scrambled, scientists worked without sleep, and for the first time in history, nations put aside their differences. The message wasn't just a greeting, it was an invitation. They called themselves the Nixel. There was no grand arrival, no towering ships blotting out the sun. Contact came in the form of dreams. Those chosen to receive them, astronauts, linguists, top officials, described the experience as stepping into a world of pure serenity. Floating cities, golden skies, landscapes untouched by war or suffering. The Nixel appeared as luminous figures, radiating warmth and welcome. Their message was simple: they wished to share knowledge, culture, the secrets of their utopia. Not through words, but through experience. By allowing humanity to dream with them, to live as they lived, even for a moment. The first volunteers awakened feeling renewed. Enlightened. As if their minds had touched something far beyond human understanding. News of the dream exchange spread fast. Scientists marveled at the implications: telepathic communication, shared consciousness, direct sensory immersion. Religious leaders called it divine. The world celebrated. Then, the first anomaly. Commander Lewis, one of the first astronauts to experience Nixel contact, didn't wake up. At first, they assumed exhaustion. Prolonged neural stimulation. But hours passed. Then days. Scans showed normal brain function, yet he remained unresponsive. As if something had gently taken his consciousness and refused to give it back. Another case followed. Then another. Doctors had no answers. Governments reassured the public, an unfortunate side effect, rare, isolated. The dream exchanges continued. Dr. Elena Vasquez, lead neuroscientist on the mission, wasn't convinced. She reviewed the brain scans, the medical records, the patterns. She noticed something chilling. Those who didn't wake up had one thing in common: deeper immersion. The more time they spent in the dream state, the less likely they were to return. She took her concerns to the program directors. They dismissed them. A breakthrough like this couldn't be abandoned over a few anomalies. The world was already too invested. Elena watched as more people, scientists, diplomats, civilians, embraced the dream exchange. More failed to wake up. Official reports downplayed the numbers. The public was told they were in prolonged rest. That soon, a medical breakthrough would revive them. Elena saw the truth. She locked herself in her lab, analyzing every neural imprint, every dream pattern. Then she saw it. A normal dream cycles through brain activity, shifting between REM and deep sleep. But in the dream exchanges, something was feeding. She compared the latest coma patient's brain activity to an archived case of severe neurodegeneration. The patterns were nearly identical. Like something had drained them dry. The Nixel weren't sharing dreams. They were consuming them. Elena barely had time to process it when the announcement came. The world was preparing for the Great Dreaming, a global event where entire populations would enter Nixel communion at once. An era of enlightenment, they called it. The dawn of a new humanity. Elena knew it was something else. Extinction. Elena's warning fell on deaf ears. The world was intoxicated by the promise of paradise. Governments, corporations, even independent researchers, all blinded by the allure of limitless peace. Skeptics were drowned out by a wave of euphoria. The Great Dreaming was scheduled in phases, beginning with high-profile figures. World leaders, scientists, artists, pillars of human civilization, would be the first to experience the full depth of Nixel wisdom. A symbolic act, proof that humanity was ready to ascend. Elena had seen enough. She gathered the last remaining skeptics, those who had seen the growing list of dreamers who never woke up. The numbers were far beyond what was publicly admitted. Entire facilities were now filled with unresponsive bodies. Silent, unmoving, but alive. She ran the latest scans. Their brains were no longer showing normal function. Where there should have been thought, memory, identity, there was nothing. No activity. No dreams. Only a hollow, pulsing rhythm, like the slow heartbeat of something feeding. Elena tried once more to warn the world. She leaked reports, medical data, everything she had. It was dismissed as paranoia, conspiracy, fear of progress. The Nixel had already won the public's trust. Then, the first live transmission from the Nixel came through. For the first time, the world heard their voices, not through dreams, but through direct communication. Their message was soothing, gentle. They spoke of unity, harmony, of the final step toward enlightenment. They invited all of humanity to join them in eternal peace. The broadcast sent shivers through Elena. The voices were not alien. They were human. Familiar. She ran voice recognition software. The results froze her blood. The voices belonged to those who had vanished into the dream. The missing astronauts. The lost diplomats. The people who had never woken up. Their bodies remained here. But their minds, their essence, were now speaking through the Nixel. Elena understood. The Nixel weren't a race. They were a state of existence. A species that had long since abandoned physical form, surviving by pulling others into their dream state. They didn't kill. They absorbed. And now, they had convinced humanity to walk willingly into the trap. She had only one option left. If the world wouldn't listen, she would have to end the dream at its source. There was only one way to do that. She had to go to them. Elena and a small team of scientists, the last few who still questioned the Nixel's intentions, prepared for a journey no one had ever attempted. The Nixel's homeworld had never been seen, only experienced through dreams. If it even existed in physical space, there was no record of it. But the answer had been hidden in the transmissions. A pattern buried within their dream frequency, a location masked as subconscious suggestion. The Nixel hadn't expected anyone to look at it logically. They assumed all of humanity would surrender before anyone thought to search for their origin. Using the same neural interface designed for dream exchanges, Elena's team reconfigured their ship's systems. If their calculations were right, they wouldn't just communicate with the Nixel, they would go to them. As they activated the system, they felt it immediately. A pull. Not through space, but through consciousness itself. The ship trembled, reality warped, and then they were no longer in known space. The Nixel homeworld was unlike anything imaginable. A vast expanse of shifting forms, either solid nor dream, flickering between the remnants of countless civilizations. Cities from different worlds merged into an impossible skyline. Voices echoed in the air, whispers, laughter, forgotten cries. The minds of the consumed. At the center of it all pulsed the dream core. A massive, living construct, woven from the consciousness of every being the Nixel had ever taken. It wasn't just their power source. It was them. Elena's team moved quickly. Their plan was simple: sever the connection, disrupt the core, and force the Nixel into collapse. They weren't sure what would happen if they succeeded. No one had ever fought back before. The Nixel knew they were there. The whispers turned to voices, the voices into pleas. Familiar ones. Their lost crewmates. Their families. Calling out. Begging them to stay, to let go, to embrace peace. Elena gritted her teeth. Lies. She activated the disruptor. The dream core screamed. The perfect illusion fractured, revealing the rotting husk beneath. The Nixel weren't gods. They were parasites, terrified of hunger. The dream around them collapsed, and for the first time in eons, the Nixel felt something they had never known. Fear. Elena pressed the final switch. The dream core shattered. The dream core fractured, sending shockwaves through the Nixel's realm. The illusion crumbled, revealing the truth beneath, an endless void, filled with the fading echoes of stolen minds. The golden skies darkened, the floating cities dissolved, and the voices of the lost turned to agonized screams as the Nixel fought to hold their existence together. For the first time in their history, they were starving. Elena felt the pull weaken. The connection between Earth and the Nixel was breaking. The dream exchange collapsed, severing their grip on the billions they had lured into unconsciousness. She could feel them now, their true forms, shapeless things, writhing in desperation, not ethereal beings but parasites clinging to the last remnants of stolen consciousness. They lashed out, trying to drag her in, to rebuild their world before it was too late. But unlike the others, she could wake up. She forced her mind to reject the dream state, to pull herself free. Around her, her team did the same. The Nixels screamed, their essence unraveling, unable to maintain their grip. Then, a final whisper. A plea. Stay. Elena ignored it. The ship lurched back into reality. The team awoke gasping, hearts pounding, minds intact. The connection was gone. The great dreaming had failed. Across Earth, billions stirred from their slumber, unaware of how close they had come to never waking up again. Governments scrambled for answers. The Nixels' transmissions ceased. Their utopia, their promises, gone, as if they had never existed. The world was left with questions. Fear. A lingering sense of something missing, a vague longing for a dream that had almost claimed them all. But in time, the truth would be known. Humanity had survived. The Nixel had believed they found an endless feast. They had never encountered a species like humans before. A species that, no matter how deep the dream, always wakes up.